Coming up next, we're going to get more acquainted with salad greens. Hi, I'm Alan Smith. Welcome to Garden to Table. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite things, spring planting. I'm out here in the middle of the vegetable garden, and even though it's early spring, there's a lot going on. We're planting for spring, we're planning for summer, and I'm actually harvesting vegetables that I planted last winter. In today's show, we're going to focus on how to grow and experiment a little bit in some fun ways about some of these beautiful salad greens. You can't believe some of the delicious recipes we've come up with and easy ways to grow them. Coming up, we'll visit my good friend Chef Jason Morrell. Jason's the chef and owner of a restaurant that is in part inspired by local artists. And some may say that his food is an art form in itself. You see, he uses locally grown produce, and Chef Jason shows us how to create this classic Nicoise salad. We're also going to talk about how I protect greens in my garden throughout the winter months, so I have fresh veggies all year long, plus some tips on storing kale and this amazing arugula and roasted beet salad that's so good you're going to want to try to make it yourself. Well, as you can see, we've got a lot going on in today's show, so let's get started.
I started cooking when I was in high school, junior in high school, for a French chef. Coming from New Orleans and Florida, I utilize Atlantic, Gulf, I would say 90% of all my fish. I do a lot of braises, a lot of pan searing, a lot of vinaigrettes. I tend to be more with olive oils than butters and creams. I use a lot more vegetables and meats and cures and everything else to do a lot of my flavors. And I use as much locals, mainly herbs that I can possibly get, because most of the herbs you get are a week old and they're not going to have as much pungency as the local stuff. I get a lot of my specialty stuff, but of course I can't get a romaine or anything like that, so I source out a few things. Everything we do is from scratch, and century-old recipes. I mean, it's nothing new per se. My restaurant's an art-driven restaurant. We try to say that we're artists, all of us. I mean, culinary art is definitely one of the arts that everybody passes up. You know, a lot of us painstakingly do a lot of good stuff with some good products. So we're gonna do a Nicoise salad. We're gonna use romaine, ahi tuna, blanched off green beans, shocked them, ice watered where they still stay a little crisp. Nicoise olives, capers, anchovies, boiled eggs, and tomatoes. Good crisp romaine lettuce. Pile it high. Blanched beans. Potatoes, hard-boiled egg, Nicoise olives, a couple of anchovies. You can leave the anchovies off. I rinse mine so they're not so stout. A couple of pretty cherry tomatoes. The ahi tuna, we cook it mid-rare, pan sear it, let it calm down a little bit and rest, and we come back out and slice it and shingle it out to where your fork's gonna pop it. As soon as you hit it down, it's gonna flake out for you on every bite. Fresh capers. And I have basic French vinaigrette, It's going to be binded with mustard. You're going to use vinegar, mustard, olive oil, canola oil, a little bit of shallot, some parsley, and other fine herbs. This salad is kind of like a southern French chef salad. It's full of good vegetables and stuff that's better for you.
Late winter and early spring is a great time to get started with salad greens. But you know, you may think, gosh, it's awfully cold during this period of time. Well, you're right, but there are ways to get around it. Conventionally, we've done things like use bed sheets and plastic, even newspaper, to give a little protection from frost and cold temperatures. But you know, there's some things you can plant that really have sort of an antifreeze built into them that can take low temperatures. For instance, take a look at this arugula. I planted it last fall. It's got some damage on it, and we went down to 10 degrees about 3 weeks ago, and you can see that it has damaged leaves. But these plants are going to be fine. They're going to come on out. There'll be lots of new growth in just a few weeks, and I'll be able to harvest these and bring them into the kitchen and serve them up. Now, if you really want to get serious about protecting your plants from the cold, you can create a little hoop house like this. I've used this frost blanket, and I have it supported with some concrete reinforcing wire. And all I've done is pin this into the ground, pushed it in with the wire like that, and it hoops over, and then I've taken this frost blanket and put it over the top, and it creates a little microclimate in there that's much warmer. And you can see I wanted to protect my red cabbage. It too went through 10 degrees, but just look how beautiful it is. The other thing about these fabrics is that you can use them year after year. Once temperatures warm up, I'll fold these, put them in the tool shed, and then bring them back out when temperatures drop. And the other thing that's good during this season is these actually can help provide some protection from wildlife, like in deer. So try them out. You know, fresh arugula is one of my favorite salad greens. It is so peppery. It's got such a great flavor to it. And what I like to do is create simple salads, and that's what I'm going to do here. This is an arugula, roasted beet, and goat cheese salad. But the real unsung star here is the salad dressing. You're going to love it, particularly if you like orange, because what I do is an orange reduction. So what we're going to do first is get started on the salad dressing. It's just really simple. You just take a cup and a half of orange juice like this, and you want to reduce it down to one-third cup, and that's what you start with. So I'm going to pour this in. I love concentrating flavors like this. I make an apple pie with a reduction of apple cider, which is really good. I'll have to do it sometime on the show. And then what I'm going to do is take some shallots. I have one shallot, and it's finely chopped. And then 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar, beautiful colors, and then a teaspoon of fresh thyme, which we just grow right outside the kitchen door here. Okay, now I'm going to add some olive oil, and I have 2/3 of a cup here, and what I'm going to do is add it slowly and whisk as I pour the olive oil in here. So you want to just take your time with it. It really makes a beautiful salad dressing. It just takes a few minutes to really work all this olive oil together with the other ingredients. And now I'm just going to add a little salt and pepper. Here's the pepper and just a little bit of salt to it. And with that, I'm ready to pop it in the fridge. So you just want to leave the dressing in the refrigerator until you're ready to serve, and I am. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to do here. I'm going to take these beets, and I love beets. A lot of people have an attitude about beets. I like to slice a few like this, and what I like to do is dress them with just a little bit of olive oil. So it takes about a dozen beets. I roasted these at 350 for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. They're really beautiful, and then I'm going to add a little salt and pepper to go on them. You could slice all of them at once. Then I'm just going to plate up one of these so you can see how it looks. But first, what I want to do is take a little bit of the dressing, take half the dressing and pour it on the arugula, I'm doing here. And then you just want to take all this sort of tossed together. It really doesn't take a lot of arugula. I think this only calls for about a couple of cups. And I grow a lot of arugula here at the farm. It's a cool weather plant called rocket, and it's a great winter crop here. In Zone 7, our winters aren't that harsh, and so I can keep it in the garden, and particularly if I cover it with a frost blanket or something like that. Okay, so now I have the arugula on the plate, and I'm just going to add some of these beets. And here's where you can get sort of artistic. And this will make beet lovers out of people if you lay them on here beautifully, and then with this flavor it'll really send them over the top. So I've got a few beets here, and then what I like to do is add the goat cheese crumbles, you can see here, and then top it off with some of these toasted hazelnuts. And again, I go back to just a little pinch of salt and plenty of pepper. And then what you do with the rest of that dressing is you can drizzle it over the top. You can add it to the beets like this, and over the goat cheese. It's really, really good. Kale is one of the most nutritious vegetables you can eat. I like it coarsely chopped and just simply sauteed with some olive oil and garlic. It's really delicious. Now here are a few tips on keeping kale fresh and ready to use. When storing kale, you want to avoid cramming it into the back of your refrigerator. So things that I do is once I purchase them from the grocer, I'll remove any bands or binding material. Next, I discard discolored leaves and trim off the rough ends. Then what you'll want to do is fill the sink with some cool water and swish the leaves around in it. Now you want to do this because it takes the grit and soil that might be on the leaves off, and you may want to repeat this process. Then shake off the moisture and let the leaves dry on paper towels or put them in a salad spinner. Finally, all you have to do is line the inside of a plastic bag with a paper towel and lay the greens in between the towels. Now while the leaves can last longer unwashed, you're more likely to use them if they're recipe ready. Then all you have to do is zip it up and pop it in the fridge. I like to put a quantity in a bag that I'll use for a particular preparation. You know, kale is so easy to grow, and it's one of the most affordable fresh vegetables you can pick up in the market. This past fall, the team of folks that produces our show and works on our website planted their first office garden. It was a chance for everybody to work together and learn more about a topic that I'm so passionate about, and that's vegetable gardening. To celebrate the bounty of their harvest, we held a fall garden party featuring dishes made from all the vegetables they had grown. For the Tablescape, I created something I thought would not only highlight the season, but show off their wonderful creations. I first placed a long piece of burlap over the entire table. Next, I wanted to give the table decor and dishes a little lift, so I used some terracotta pots and bricks to act as support. You can really use just about anything. These are items I literally found in the tool shed. Then I used some small scraps of burlap to cover these items that I used to create my lift. After my stage was set, I began placing my actors. I used all sorts of gourds and funky pumpkins, as well as an assortment of fall salad greens. And for the centerpiece, a fall basket full of miniature pumpkins. And I tied all of these pieces together by using some grapevine. And since everything was served in large dishes buffet style, I placed a stack of basic white plates and a smaller harvest basket filled with silverware wrapped in kitchen towels. I think the staff really enjoyed the fruits, or in this case, the veggies of their labor. I want to tell you about a delicious spring recipe for a salad. It takes some of the best of the garden. that a friend gave me. It's really, really good. Now, what it uses is fresh spinach, arugula, and strawberries. Now, who doesn't love strawberries? And what I've done here is I've just pureed the strawberries, the juice, and made it rather frothy and in the food processor, and I've just pulsed it several times. Now, what I like about this is that it's all in season. We always grow spinach, not only in the spring, but in the fall here. It likes cool weather. The strawberries, we grow two different kinds, one called Cardinal and the other one called Ozark, and just talking about them makes my mouth water. And then, of course, arugula, sometimes called rocket, has that marvelous sort of oak-like leaf to it in shape, but that almost spicy green that, again, is so easy to grow directly from seed. It'll come up in no time. I think that's the reason they call it rocket. And the spinach, too, is very easy to grow from seed. Now, the strawberries, you'll want to plant the strawberries from plants. That's what we do here. Now, all right, so what I'm going to do is I've got this in the food processor. I just took 3 or 4 of these ripe berries, capped, and I threw them in there with 1/4 of a cup of this red wine vinegar and 1/4 cup of honey. And I put it in the food processor, and then it yields this, which is almost a nectar. It's fabulous. Now, what I'm going to add to it now will be the olive oil here, which is 1/4 cup. And so what I'm going to do is make sure the oil and that lovely strawberry red wine vinegar and honey all blended together. See that? Really beautiful. You can see here. I love the flavor of it. It's a nectar. Okay, that's the dressing. Now look, this is really simple. Like I said, 4 cups here of spinach, and then 1 cup each of sliced strawberries, the arugula, and 1 cup of pecans, 1 cup of arugula. And then you're just going to add salt and pepper to taste. So now all you do is combine it. And what I like to do is start with the arugula first. So I just put the greens on top of greens like this. And then I'll take the strawberries next and just decorate the top of it, distributing them evenly like this. And then 1 cup of toasted, chopped pecans, locally grown from around here, which I love. So look at that. Now, we're ready for the dressing. Now, I don't typically put the dressing on until we're ready to sit down and have it, so I'm going to hold off on that because it makes everything soggy, and I like it all very fresh. Now, you can add roasted chicken to this, which will make it an entree salad, and I highly recommend it. It's very good, particularly if you can use one of those delicious heritage chickens that taste so good. For some, the idea of growing a vegetable garden seems very appealing, but at the same time daunting and overwhelming. But you know, you don't have to have a vegetable garden this big. If you start with just a few basic ideas and you don't try to grow too much, keep it contained, you can be very successful and produce a lot of delicious produce. I think the easiest way to get started is by building a raised bed. This is a good way of creating a blank slate for planting. Choose an area that gets plenty of sun throughout the day. Next, use good quality soil. You see, if you don't get the soil right, gardening will be a constant struggle with poor results. Most vegetable plants are rapid growers and heavy feeders, so they need rich soil. Now, the next thing you want to think about is, what are you going to plant? So that depends on the growing season. Right now, we're finishing up summer in my garden, so it's time to plant for the cool season, the fall coming on. So I'm going to plant some lettuce and I'm going to plant some cabbage. Now, it's extremely helpful to look on the plant tag to see what requirements the vegetable has before you buy it. Some require more sun than others. Some other helpful information is given, such as how deep the plant should be planted and proper spacing. Now, once you've planted your garden, make sure that you water the vegetables on a regular basis. On average, vegetable plants need 1/2 to 1 inch of water per week. Moisture should be distributed evenly through the bed because overwatering can be just as hurtful as underwatering. You just wouldn't believe what this 4x4 bed can produce. Now, I hope the tips I've given you are helpful. Just remember 3 very important things. Make sure that your vegetable garden site has plenty of sun, start with really good soil, and keep the moisture consistent. And that'll put you off to a really good start. And remember, have some fun with it. You know, some greens just aren't green. For instance, red cabbage. So beautiful in the garden and so delicious to eat. And I want to show you a recipe that I really like because it combines 2 wonderful flavors, the flavor of cabbage and the flavor of apples. Now, what I like about this combination is that you just dump everything into the Dutch oven and throw it into the oven, and it's a great dish to serve with any kind of pork, whether it's pork tenderloin or grilled pork chops. It's really yummy. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm just taking really a head of cabbage, about 2 pounds, and you can see I've got it all sort of chopped up here, and I'm just going to dump this in the pan. What's great about this recipe is literally you throw everything in just as I'm doing it here. And then apples. I like a Granny Smith apple. Use your favorite. You want one that's sort of tart. And what I've done here, I have about 4 Granny Smith apples that have been peeled and chopped. And then I'm going to add orange juice, 1/2 cup, and 1/2 cup of red wine vinegar. Yum. Now, to add to the flavor, I'm going to add 3 cloves of garlic that have been chopped and 2 tablespoons of fresh thyme and 2 tablespoons of dark brown sugar. I'm going to spread that out. Now, I'm going to add some salt, but I'm going to do that once we bring it out of the Dutch oven. And then what I've done here is I've just coarsely chopped, and you can chop it finely if you want, just a yellow onion. And that's what goes in last. So let me get all this sort of chopped up. What's wonderful is all these flavors blend together and make such a delicious and easy side dish. All right, there we go. I'm going to stir all of this together so that I get a nice blend. Got it all mixed together, and the last thing I want to do is just take some orange zest, and what you want to do is take a zester and probably knock off about a tablespoon of orange zest. Gives it just a little bit of a kick. That should do it. Just going to keep all that there at the top. All right, so I'm ready to pop on the top now and put it in the oven. Heavy and hot. All right, so let's take a look, see what we have here. Oh yeah, look at that. It smells so good. What I like to do is serve it out of the Dutch oven just like this. And so if you have a group of people, maybe it's 12 or so, you can make this. There's plenty for 12. You could do like a platter of lamb or pork chops here, and then maybe some roasted potatoes. It makes a wonderful, wonderful meal. So give it a try and just present it that way. And then all I do here is just salt and pepper to taste at this point. Do it at the very end. Of course, I like lots of cracked pepper. And I just wish you could smell the aroma, the combination of those apples and the red cabbage and that lovely fresh thyme. It just really makes for quite a taste sensation. It truly is amazing how much you can grow in just a small space. Well, it's all the time we have for today's show. Hey, I hope you'll give that arugula and roasted beet salad a try. I know you'll love it. Until next time, good eating and good health.